having a good day. This being Friday, we were looking for a lot of stuff this weekend, or this week, I should say. It was supposed to be a very busy week, and probably behind the scenes it was a very busy week. But for those of us that are looking at it from this side of the fence, we see very little happening. We hear a lot of stuff, but we basically are waiting for the powers that be that are running this to go ahead and release the SafeLink websites. Now, the thing is that I'm not so much concerned about the bonds because of the German bonds and the Golden Dragon bonds and all this kind of stuff, the Yellow Dragon bonds. They're all being handled in their own due course. All right. We've been waiting all week. For weeks, actually, we've been told that the German bonds have been done and that people have been received liquidity, and I've not seen any proof of that. So I can only go by what I see, because there's nobody offering any actual proof that the German bonds were done and that the Yellow Dragon bonds were done, or any of that. And we are all being told, well, that's secret. Yeah, okay, well, sooner or later it's going to come out of the closet. But our main purpose of this is that we want to make sure that you understand that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that's going on as far as the redemption and exchanging is concerned. All right? So, and there are some changes that they are trying to make, and they're really trying to do a shell game. Let's look at it that way, try and find the P and all that. So under the 3 walnut shells. So anyway, our SafeLink websites, from what we're being told, are going to be released soon. And so, but most of the procedures are going to be the same when you get inside. You're going to be handed what you're going to have to take is, your time. You're going to be getting your time of the appointment. You need to take in a photo ID, a driver's license, another ID of a passport or birth certificate, 2 different utility bills containing your address. If you have a trust, you take your papers in. You're going to be filling out a client information sheet, which is required now at all bank accounts. If you open a bank account, you have to take that as know your customer. Pretty much, and if you have a project proposal, take that in as well with you. The thing that we always say, and we've always told you from day one, is that you always have to be polite, and remember that these people are here to help you as easily as possible. You will sign a non-disclosure agreement, and we're being told a rate agreement as well. You really are not going to be able to negotiate your rates. You can, on those rates that have contract rates, you may have to have projects, and that's why you take that as well. You can ask for them, but only on the dong and dinar. We've stated that before, and that also, because of depending on the amount of money that you're going to be getting from the exchange, you may be have to put up have a project. But I'll get to that a little later. And then you have a rate that's on the ZIM. So a contract rate's the highest rate for the dong and dinar. For other currencies, the highest rate will be the screen rate or default rate. You can ask them for clean and clear certificates, deposit slip for currency, receipt and verification if any cash is received, receipt and verification on dollars on debit card. They're expecting to be up to $10 million on the debit cards. And then if you got a project, you make your second appointment. So the in which you'll come back. Okay, then also the exchange person will take each of your currencies and from the lowest to the highest, and they'll run them through a data room machine to authenticate them. And they'll do it one currency at a time. And then you will be told the rate of exchange for each currency and get a verification form. Some of the currencies may not be ready to exchange and will be held until they are ready. You'll be given an SKR receipt. You can open an account for each currency if you so choose, or you can put them into a trust. You need to write down the account information to your new accounts and get the access info for your accounts as well. And you can ask them if, and this is pretty well known, you can ask them for a laptop for banking use only, so you can monitor the accounts. You will be given, you can get a wealth manager or you can have your own. Okay, so the other thing that winds up being is this, that there are, the biggest problem is this has all pretty well been self-explained many times before, and this really hasn't changed. But the biggest change is coming on the ZIM, and the stuff that I have seen that deals with the ZIM and is kind of, it will be, they're trying to make it so that someone else is going to manage your money on the ZIM. You're not going to be able to do that. You know, if you submit a project with your ZIM, you will get slightly more per ZIM, and then the walk-away rate or the default rate. So the starting point will not be less than the walk-away rate. After 200 T notes, the per 100 T note redemption rate will decrease until it reaches a certain number, and then it will be a constant amount, no matter what you have or how many more you have or anything else like that. But whether you have a project or not, assume you will have an early access to 10% on a debit card. Will have 1 or 2% of the total on it for the first 9 to 10 days. That hasn't changed. That has been consistent. And then an additional, what has changed is this, and then an additional 8 or 9% will be added to the balance on the card. Well, 90% will be paid out over time with interest. This applies to the portion you get personally, so you will have to have a continuous flow of funds coming your way for many years. Only ZIM funds are subject to structured payouts. unless you're exchanging more than 100 million of any one currency, except now they've added the Bolivar. You know, if you're 70 older, you'll get slightly lower redemption rate than the walkaway rate, but payout will be almost immediately. So that pretty much is staying the same. The ZIM is almost all for projects. You will get your share at redemption, but the project uniqueness determines if you will get more for the projects and possibly for yourself. If you do not have ZIM and submit a project with your Dong Dinar currency, you expect to get the contract rate for the currency. But the significant portion of the differential between the back screen front or default rate, your contract rate is going to fund the project. In this case, you should receive slightly more than the default rate, screen rate for your dinar or dong. If you submit a project with your dong or dinar that is a duplicate project or not accepted for some reason, rates will be determined on an individual basis. That pretty much has stayed the same. The projects are to be presented before leaving the redemption center or exchange center. So at your second meeting with your team, they will prepare everything needed in order for your projects to be presented, and they will negotiate the funding for the entire project. Projects are to run for 25 to 50 years, with renewal being an option. That has not changed. A duplicate project may be merged with others, but funding will still be done the same way with the local amount. Multiple projects will be approved or not on an individual basis. Now, this is where it gets to be touchy. Because your project's submitted and eventually approved, you are not expected to run it. All right, let me say that again. You are not expected to run it, but will provide some oversight. Now, they've talked about this for months. They've been hinting about it in every single way. So they're telling you you are not going to run it, but will provide oversight and will receive financial compensation. And this is in addition to extra funds. So, but inside of the final organizational plan for your projects, there will be areas of personal benefit for you based on what your projects entail. This means your idea and continued input will earn additional compensation for you and your family. You may be part of the project hierarchy, but unless you are qualified and approved project manager, you will not run anything. So they're basically trying to take your money from you and get very little insight into the actual running of it. You are going to lose control, and they're going to take control. That is getting to be the problem with the ZIM, because, excuse me, you're not going to have any insight. And, you can believe in your project, and your desire to help to get it implemented and its uniqueness will determine its final approval. The final plans will be audited and get final approval by the U.S. DoD experts in planning, financing, logistics, and viability. And if it gets approved, whatever funding is needed will get it done. So they have left the currency basically the same and have changed the guidelines or whatever the guidelines are going to do with the DOD. So they're taking it out of your control because they're saying you don't know what you're doing. And so as far as all that is concerned, so I would, so when you go in to the redemption and the exchange, I would go ahead and schedule a second meeting and talk with the people that are going to be the wealth managers or your own wealth management team and get that ironed out, because you know how you want your project to work. There's a lot of things where a lot of people have the same idea and about cleaning the oceans or in that context or whatever, or infrastructure work or that a lot of people have as far as homeless go, and they will try and combine those people so that they can do the project and not take as much money, because it'll be a group of people that'll be doing it, and then they're going to put somebody, for example, over that to run it to make sure that everything's going the way you would like to see it go, or the way a lot of the other people would like to see it go in a compromising situation. You know, and I have, to me, that's troublesome. And it really is, because what happens is that while we've been told all along that it's going to be this way and this way and this way and this way, and now they're trying to change it. And in the changing of it, takes it out of your control, your money out of your control. Now, and this only affects the Zim, the dinar, and the dome. The Real, the Bolivar, and all these are not into that area. They are going to be exchanged, and you'll get whatever the rate is. So, as far as all that's concerned, but you're not going to have very much control over your own projects. So, and I would, but again, I stress that nobody knows for sure. We do not know if they're going to let the SafeLink websites out tonight, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've been led that stuff was going to happen on Tuesday, and then Tuesday happens to be Wednesday, and then Thursday we're told that the Treasury wants this stuff to start on Thursday, and then it gets put off to next week. If it doesn't happen by Thursday, it's next week. And this is the Charlie Brown and Lucy on the football. I've complained about this for years, that, you know, that Lucy has the football, Charlie goes to kick it, Lucy pulls the football, Charlie winds up on his back. But I am hoping that they all follow through with what they're supposed to be doing this next week. And if that happens, then we'll have Christmas in November and a happy Easter and everything else. And if you've been paying attention to what's been going on in Congress, they have lowered it to $1.79 trillion. They haven't taken the IRS deal out of it yet. They'll probably leave it up to the Senate to do that. And for those of you that think that NESARA has happened, It hasn't, otherwise the IRS thing would be gone. But that's how they're going to pay for it. If that stays in, the money that you are going to be getting from your exchanges and redeeming would become then at that point a taxable event if they pass the bill. And the money that you make and that we're going to make off of this will be subject to a tax, and that's how they're going to pay for it in that case. Because right now, that's the only way they can pay for it. And also, a couple of years ago, it was the Chinese, the Treasury, and that agreed that the ZIM would be 1-to-1, that it would be exchanged $1 for $1. So one ZIM, $1. But at the way it looks like it's going right now, that's not going to happen. So we've also stated that there are not going to be very many trillionaires that come out of this. There'll be very little billionaires that come out of this. There'll be a whole lot of multimillionaires that will come out of this. And so that's what's being put out there right now. The main procedures are still the same. Be polite, present your stuff, and the only big difference is they're trying to make it in is with the ZIM. And I think there's going to be people that are going to raise a voice about that. But you got to understand that when you're in the redemption centers and the exchange centers, that you're polite no matter what, or you will be escorted to the door. Simple as that. So anyway, let's open you guys up for questions, and let's see if you can raise your hand. Philip XRP, man. Philip XRP, man. Okay. John Brown. Push the button in the center and speak. John Brown.
Hey there, Mr. Nick. How are you?
All right, you?
Doing well. My question is this. If they're going to control what we do with the ZIM as far as contract rates, then why can we not just take walkout rates and do our own projects without them having anything to say about it?
You can do that if you choose. The ZIM has always been the problem because it's so much money. Okay, with it, and they're basically believing that you're going to get the lotto syndrome. Okay, that you're going to just run right out, spend all this money, and be broke. And so they don't have any confidence in having you being able to do your own projects, or you don't have the experience to deal with other people trying to get your project done.
I can understand that, but why would they not assign you somebody to help you understand or make you take classes before you ever even started your project to give you some kind of insight as to what financially you're really dealing with? Because none of us have ever had this kind of money, not even close.
I agree with
you. Give you that opportunity, and then if you prove, a little while into it, you just can't handle it, then they take over.
Well, originally everybody was going to go through classes, because it's a lot of money, just like you said. Everybody's going to go through classes. They were going to be paying for those classes and to learn how to manage your own money so that the lotto syndrome would not take over. But and understand something, that what we're talking about right now as far as in, that hasn't been actually published yet. And so when we go in, you still are going to be talking to wealth managers or whoever to try and help you do your own projects. That's something that they're throwing out there now that they don't really want anybody to know about.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
All right. Ron, the geologist. Ron, are you there?
Hey, you get me?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
I
here.
don't know how you knew I was a geologist. If you are a subject matter expert and you have the experience in high-level project management, why would they want to cut you out of this? They don't have the vision that you have.
Well, it could be just the fact that they're wanting to control the money. Simple as that. You know, if let's say it this way, to me, I wouldn't trust them to do that. But you should come in with an idea in your 4 or 5 pages that you have there should be enough that when you go to your second meeting that you can logically talk with them and explain what your plan is and how you're going to do it. And then you are going to have to hire the lawyers, the various people that are going to do that. There's a lot of people that don't have a clue. And I mean that seriously. And so any kind of help that they would get would be beneficial to them. But there are plenty of people, even in the DoD, that don't know how to run a project. You know, I mean, they're having a hard time trying to run themselves. So, but if you go in with the wherewithal that you have and the expertise, then I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, I have multiple projects. 2 of them are very key and very personal to me and very important to the world, so we'll see how that goes. But it appears that a lot of the preparations that people have paid for to have other people prep them and whatever, that a lot of that effort will have been wasted given the attitude that they're taking now. You may want to comment on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're acting like Barney Fife, you know. Not that Barney Fife was dumb or anything, but they're acting like the average person doesn't understand what they're really doing, or they don't have a clue. So I would suggest that you have your all your information with you when you go to the second meeting to deal with the wealth managers and other people, that you put down a plan, and that's what they want. If you go in there and you have your plan and you have all this, then I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. But you know, there are some people that have various plans to clean up the ocean, and believe me, they're going to combine those people and try to make it where all these people's idea into one project to clean the oceans. That cuts back on money. That also, as far as all that goes. But there's a lot of people that don't have a clue as to what $100 trillion would do, or 500 million, or any of that. There are some people that do, there are some people that don't. and they're also trying to watch out for the person that is coming in and just trying to scam them in a way. You know, they're trying to talk about stuff that they don't really know, and to try and get as much money as possible so that the project doesn't get done. You know, so there's a lot of ands and ifs here. So.
Yeah, the technology is the interesting thing, because there are people I know that are submitting projects who have no idea that what they're thinking is a technology that's already been outdated by 50 or 100 years by what those in the power have in terms of
Oh,
technology.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But that's going to be a negotiation on your part with them at your second meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Jim Novak. Jim Novak.
Can you?
I hear you. Push the button.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
On the Zim, you mentioned they are going to control the money. Who is they? Is it the government? Is it a
The DOD.
national group?
Nope, it's DOD.
It's who?
The DOD.
Oh, DOG. Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thanks for all your help, Nick.
Okay, yeah. Leslie Warren.
Hello, Nick, and thank you for all you do. Question: one has the Zim, the dinar, and the dong. Can the Zim and the can the dinar and the dong be separate from the project?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't have to go towards the project then.
No, doesn't have to go towards any project.
I understand. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, and have a great day.
All right, thank you. Kane. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me. Abigail Gabriel. Abigail?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Nick. Thank you for all that you do. I missed the first few minutes. Did you talk about the dinar and the rate of the dinar?
No, we're not talking about rates. We can't talk about rates.
Okay.
But it's the Zim, the dinar, and the dong. They're the ones that have contract rates. The dinar and the dong, and they're the only ones going to have contract rates that you can ask for.
Okay. I just missed the first few minutes, and I just wanted to see if there's anything I missed, but I don't have any of those, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Gab Gatekeeper.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
How
you.
about yourself?
All right.
So I have a question about Tier 4B.
Okay.
Are you only in Tier 4B when you actually have currency, or is it simply that you are in the group that you considered being in Tier 4B?
Well, everybody else has SKRs, or they're part of Tier 1 or Tier 2. Tier 3, Tier 4A has SKRs. The Tier 4B is basically the internet group, and they're the largest one.
So in that group means even when you're in that group, and even if you don't have any currency, you're still considered Tier 4B. The reason I'm asking is because I was told that in order to be in the Tier 4B, you have to have currency like dinar and the Zimbabwe. And it wasn't very clear to me. And they also talked about 23 other currencies they would be exchanged, but it was never named what other currencies are out there.
Well, I've posted the list. There are several other people in Dinar land that have posted the currency list. It's, you know, there's, so yeah, if you have foreign currency, then yeah, you're in Tier 4B. And if you have Zim, you're in Tier 4B.
So, and my daughters are both in this group too, but they do not have any currency. So they are still considered Tier 4B because they are in the group, or they would fall under the Tier 5?
Well, they'll fall under tier 5, because if you don't have currency, that's where you're going, is Tier 5.
Okay.
And you won't be getting what the rates would be for Tier 4B.
Okay.
They're different.
Okay. I wasn't sure what it meant to be in the internet group, if that automatically qualified you to go into the Tier 4B, or if, regardless if you have currency or not, or if you don't have any, that regardless if you're in the group, you will be ending up in the Tier 5. So that was the only thing I wasn't quite sure about. I wanted to clarify.
All right. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
TWC. TWC.
How you doing?
All right, you?
I'm doing just wanted to stop and thank you for all that you do for us in the communities. I value your intel very, very much. I'm not really confused about them wanting to take over our projects, even though you say it's DOD. To me, it's more like government overreach. But I understand all that. You know, this is going to cause a lot of people discouragement about even running a project and just taking the default rate and doing their own thing anyways. And we all know that. But I just wanted to stop in and tell you that I share your intel on my channels. I have many followers that are probably listening right now, and we all appreciate what you do.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Rob Neilhigh.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
All right, you?
Great. If you could just recap for me before the news that you shared today about the DoD taking over the projects. So before that, you were completely involved, but you could hire people to control it or run it.
Yeah, and you still may be able to. Okay. Not all of this is in concrete because it changes from day to day and minute to minute, and it's an idea they've been floating around for several months, and some people, some intel providers are putting it out that that's the way it's going to be. I don't know that it's going to be that way. I personally haven't been told that's going to be that way, and that, you know, because I was still operating under, first of all, the Chinese wouldn't go for it. So, but now we're just waiting and see, because since we're just waiting for the SafeLink websites to come out, we really won't know anything for sure until we get in and actually sit down and talk with them. But it doesn't hurt to be prepared for them to take it over. And that's what it sounds to me. They're just out to take it over, you know. And Do what?
Oh, no, I just was agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there was no change in the idea that if your project was similar to another one, that they still would try and combine it. In your understanding, if they do that, could you still have some oversight in it, even though they combine them, or?
Well, between you, me, and the fence post, I think they want as little input as possible. And that's just being honest, as far as all that goes. I would rather see it where you would have some control into it and hire the people that would go out and get the permitting done and all this other kind of stuff. Whatever your project requires, hire the people to go do that. But they're trying to take control of the money and say they're going to do that. And you'll just get paid a bonus.
Right. But I mean, if they combine multiple projects, say they had 3 that were similar or 5, would those people that had that idea be put together as a team? Do you see what I'm saying? Or
it could be.
Okay.
Anything is possible.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Mary.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? And thank you for all you do. Okay, so I'm going to be going away to another state for a couple months. Can I exchange in that particular state if that time comes? Is that going to be a problem?
No.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you. Doug Kuzman.
Hey, Nick, how are you today?
All right, you?
I'm doing great. Maybe it's just me, but I never hear anybody bring up about the dong. What would be the procedure through that is, and I know we don't have any rates, but nobody ever talks about it. They talk about the ZIM. Can you give us a little insight on that?
Well, I mean, you're going to be able to exchange the dong at whatever the rate is. There is a contract rate on it. I don't know what it is. So you're just going to take it in with you when you go to exchange, and you're going to turn it in. They're going to count it, and they're going to tell you what you got. Now, if you want a contract rate on it, you can ask them, and you can get the contract rate on it, but it's no different than as far as a dinar goes or anything else. It's just that everybody's more interested in the dinar and the ZIM. Just like the real, there's people out there that own real, but real is not subject to a contract rate. There's people that own Bolivar. It's not subject to a contract rate, but the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people make a lot of money off the Bolivar. Really is, and I may be pronouncing it wrong, but they are. So it's just you just take it in, let them count it, let them pay you. But if you do have a project, if you get enough of it, let's say over $100 million that you have coming back, then you can put that into a leveraged payout, and you can also do projects with that as well. So, there's a lot of avenues.
Yeah, I got about 10.5 million of it. But thank you for all that you do and keep us up to speed on what's going on. It's the first time I ever got to speak on here, and thank you so much. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Donna. Waiting for Donna.
Nick. Sorry, the button is sticking a little bit here.
That's what,
Thank you for all you do. I know everybody appreciates it. My question is, at what point are we going to know their decision of whether everything's going to be handed over to them and we will not have much insight into our project? Will we know that before we even go into the appointment? Because oh, so you won't have the answer to that then?
we won't have the answer until we actually go in. See, all
How do you?
go ahead.
Well, then how are we going to know whether we just want to take the default rate and be in charge of our own project versus?
You're going to, you're going to go in, and they're keeping a lot of this till you go in, and everything that's out before you go in, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff. Believe me, and there's a lot of other stuff floating around right now. But when you go in there, you're going to be able to talk to this guy for 20 minutes. You'll have about 20 minutes talking to him while they're counting your currencies or doing whatever. And you'll be able to ask them questions. And that's when you will get the absolute 100% truthful answer, is right then. And take a list of questions and ask. They'll answer them. So, and then you'll be able to decide then if you just want to take the default rate, whatever that is. And believe me, there's people out there on the default rate saying it's 250 million per 100 T or 500 million per 100 per Zim, and there are all kinds of, and none of it's true because nobody knows right now. And so, and when you get in there and you take your synopsis or your summary of your projects, give it to them, ask them questions, talk to them, and they'll answer you. And that's when you're going to get the correct answer, all right?
So in other words, but whatever they decide, it's going to be the same with everybody that goes in there.
Yes.
Would you think? Okay, so if they decide that no, you hand everything over to us and we run your project, it's going to be that way with everybody.
Correct.
Okay, so we will not know till we go in. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Edward. Push the button, Edward.
Okay, it just came up. Can you
Okay.
hear me, Nick?
Yes.
So we're going to be going to these redemption centers with a lot of currency, or worth a lot of money, of course. And I'm just curious, we don't know if we're going to be parking in a parking garage, if we're going to be parking down the street. What kind of security is going to be provided? Because obviously the deep state will also know about these redemption centers. So I'm just curious if you're privy to that at all.
Well, I'm told there's going to be security there. So, and these could take place in financial centers, and so there's some financial centers that are located inside a bank on a different floor. So
well, I'm more concerned with walking to the establishment, not inside the establishment, because I'm assuming they're going to have metal detectors in there, so we won't be able to protect ourselves walking to the place. That's all.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be a very secure location, and you'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let me see here. pipeline and hauling.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing tonight?
All right, you?
Oh, not too bad. I just got home a little bit ago, and I thought I'd check, and you were halfway through the stream, so I got a couple real quick questions for you. We're going to be doing the replay on this.
Yeah, it's being recorded.
Okay, boss. My other question was, do you got a hint that this might happen before next Friday?
You know what? If I knew the answer to that, I'd be on my way to Vegas to place a bet.
Go to Vegas, my friend.
You know, I don't know. There was one of the gurus was saying Monday, and then he says Tuesday, and then he says Wednesday. So nobody knows. You know, we're only thing that anybody can do at the moment is just be calm, go away for a couple of days and get your mind off of it. And because it's not going to change when you log back in on Monday. So I've been at this a long, long time, and I get very angry because of the fact I'm told certain things and then nothing happens. And this recently, they told me, don't say too much about anything, but you can talk about procedures and policy and stuff like that. So, and that's what I'm doing, is just letting everybody know it's still there. And we are trying to be as patient as we can and not stub too many toes.
Well, could you pass the note on to your friends in the DOD that I could be receiving a eviction notice in the next week, and that'll put me and my wife as homeless. And
okay, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't want to see that on anybody happen. I had a real good friend that died of COVID pneumonia, and that's a different story all in itself. But just, we'll be tagging in every now and then and letting people know that, right now there is a lot of stuff that's going on, and most of it's all smoke and mirrors. Most of it, and just use a little bit of common sense and you'll be able to figure that out. So, but other than that, we're going to call it quits for today, and we will put the recording up just as soon as we can. You guys have a good day, and thank you for being here.